Hello, geeks. I like turtles. Being a child of the 80s and 90s, I grew up in Turtle Mania. And what is meant by that is we had the arcade game, the Nintendo game, the movies, the animation. Turtles actually came to your school if you won and brought pizza. They never came to my school though. I was very sad and disappointed, but it is what it is. Nickelodeon came to my elementary school, but it was a year before I transferred. But that's off the subject, back to Turtles. When I originally heard that they were going to redo the Turtles again, I thought it was going to be another live action, or a third segment of the previous reboot of the movies. However, it was an animation. When I first saw the trailer for the newest addition to the Ninja Turtles family, I really did not like the animation style. I felt the same way about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and it's just something about that animation style, just doesn't draw me in. However, I guess it does make it feel more like a comic book than just animation. But being a Ninja Turtles fan, I had to see the new movie. I know that it's not going to be at the theaters much longer if it is playing at theaters anymore. But that means that it'll be coming to streaming soon. And if you didn't get a chance to watch it in the theaters, you have a chance to watch it there. Now, this version of the movie feels a lot different than previous versions. First off, the Turtles aren't fighting Shredder, which to me is a big difference. Yes, it is true in the animated series, they had more villains than just Shredder, but he was their main villain. We don't even see him until the end, which means there might be a sequel. Some of the changes I wasn't okay with at first, but when I actually went back and thought about the changes that they made, a lot of it makes a lot more sense. Splinter, for instance, they seem to change in every incarnation of this franchise. In the animated series from the 80s and 90s, he was actually a human before he came in contact with the ooze, and for some reason the ooze turned him into a rat instead of a mutant human. And in the movies from the 80s and 90s, he was actually a pet rat. This incarnation, however, had him being just a normal street rat that, like the Turtles, was in the sewer at the wrong place at the wrong time and came in contact with the ooze, became a mutant. He did not actually learn martial arts until he became this mutant self, because he wanted to protect his sons. I'm not sure if this actually quite works, just because of the fact of how attached he is to turtles. I don't think a rat would actually be that attached to a turtle. I think the most far-fetched version is when he was actually a human and became a rat when he became in contact with the ooze. Some other changes that were made is that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles actually act like teenagers. I don't think I realized this when I was a kid. Tim did mention this in his trailer review of the Turtles. In previous incarnations, they acted more like 20-year-olds rather than teenagers. And you can actually see where they are teenagers here. And they're fighting crime not because it is the honorable thing to do like in previous versions, but for acceptance from their peers, because they want to go to school. And that kind of leads to the question of, why are they wearing masks? I know most superheroes wear masks because they want to keep their identity secret from others so that their families can be protected. But how many mutant turtles are there in New York where they have to wear a mask to protect their identities? And they were wearing masks back before they were fighting crime. So what's the point of the masks? I know they look cool, but there's not really a point for them to wear a mask to protect themselves or their loved ones. We do get Bebop and Rocksteady in this version too, which I was very excited about. It's not quite the Bebop and Rocksteady we know and love, and because there's no Shredder, they don't work for him, but they're lovable characters, just like always. But my other thought that I had while watching this movie that I haven't had in previous versions of it is, the Turtles are actually thieves. At the beginning of the movie, they're going to a convenience store and stealing what they need from the store without leaving any money behind. I think in previous versions, they've actually have taken what they needed from convenience stores, but they usually somehow have money to leave behind. I thought this was kind of an interesting look at it, that we usually get to see them fighting crime, but it starts out where they're the ones committing a crime, and not very superhero-y. As I said, I didn't really care for the animation when I first saw it. Once you got engrossed into the movie, you got engrossed into it, and it wasn't really all that distracting like it was in the trailers. And I also thought they did a great job of throwing back at previous versions of the Ninja Turtles without bringing back the dead. They, for instance, played on the radio the major song from the original movie, Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go! So, I did enjoy that. It was a good throwback. They did a few other things that reminded you that this isn't the original, that there were other versions, but they didn't throw it in your face, and it was still enjoyable for people that have never seen the Turtles before. Their favorite pizza is still Pizza Hut, but they didn't have the writing Pizza Hut on there. They just had the Pizza Hut logo on there, which I thought was kind of neat, and it was a lot kookier than previous versions as well, which I actually seem to enjoy more. It felt more like the personality of the Turtles, kind of that kooky teenage rebellious stage, and it gave them a reason to fight other than, oh, well, it's the honorable thing to do, especially since they're the outcasts. Why would they really feel like they needed to be honorable and protect those that shun them? So all in all, I thought it was a great movie. Definitely worth a watch, especially once it comes to streaming. If you're a fan of the original Ninja Turtles, you definitely need to take a step back and realize that this is its own thing. So that is all I got for you today, geeks. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Later, geeks.